Welcome to the future of money. Come with us on this journey into the world of Bitcoin, blockchain and crypto projects. You're going to meet the trailblazers. These people have changed my life and they may very well do the same for you. Hi everyone, I'm here in Asia at the moment. Things are certainly heating up. The airport in Hong Kong has been shut down with escalating protests. We've obviously got a currency crisis looming as well. We've got a trade war between China and the US, and also the fact that recently the trading community lost one of its best and brightest in Tyler Jenks. I thought I'd post this video. We discuss $100 million Bitcoin. We discuss what Bitcoin means to us. I hope you enjoy it. There's more coming up with VNZ and I on Sunday, so please subscribe to the channel. This is all self-funded, so we do appreciate your comments and support. Thank you very much. You know, obviously, I followed some of Tyler Jenks's analysis, and it was fascinating to hear him talk about Bitcoin being one of 5 potential solutions to a looming global debt crisis. You know, I learned something new about Bitcoin every day. So that was, you know, that's a real big picture scenario.
And you like it?
I would encourage people to follow that analysis. He's written some really good articles. You guys did a fantastic show on the on that topic as well.
Tyler is saying that there is Bitcoin is one of 5 solutions to.
He considers it the best.
What's he saying, to the currency crisis or to the future of
the global debt crisis? The fact that there's nothing to back that debt.
Yeah, it's all rehypothecation. That's the word they're using. It's 90% of a loan can be reloaned and increased by 90%, and reloaned increased by 90%. So the balloon keeps increasing. We're more indebted. The banks are more highly leveraged than we were in the first tremor of this debt crisis back in 2008. The situation has escalated, conflated, and it's going to pop. The Austrian economist, specifically von Mises, says that in his experience, his study of former debt bubbles, there is no easy path, there's no off-ramp from a debt crisis, from a credit inflation. The only solution is for all of that debt to be destroyed, and it destroys. If we study previous debt deflations, it destroys rapidly. There's not a controlled manner of bringing it down. Will Bitcoin have a solution for this off-ramp from the debt? I don't know, because it would require the state and the finance sector to harness Bitcoin or to adopt Bitcoin and use it as a reserve or as a currency or as a store of value, as a backing.
Yeah.
Or
simply just simply to attach value to it.
My sense is that if that is the case, that solution that Tyler describes, Bitcoin will be useful after the collapse or during the ending phases of it, when the phoenix rises out of the ashes. You can substitute Bitcoin for fiat. That's one solution. What do you think?
Well, I think really what he's saying there is, if value is attached to Bitcoin by the powers that be, the central banks, it would enable that debt to be backed by an asset. And his rationale there was that Bitcoin, to cover the current global debt, would go to a value of $10 million a Bitcoin. So it's not really a solution that would come in after a collapse. In fact, what he's saying is he prays that the global economy will keep going for at least 2 years so that Bitcoin can be accepted as having value by the major, or by our banking infrastructure, so that there is something to back that debt. Because when that house of cards starts to fall over, so, you know, in other words, he's talking about we're either going to go back to a gold standard. He's saying he feels Bitcoin would be the best of his 5 solutions. I'd encourage everyone to to have a look at that analysis, we'll put a link to the show you guys did and to Tyler's content. It was something that sort of hit me as a bit of a bolt of lightning. I mean, I obviously know a bit about Bitcoin, but to really see somebody with his level of knowledge of economics say that he views it as the best possible solution to a global debt crisis. Something I think the more people are aware of that possibility would be a good thing.
It would be a good thing. We then just have to look at the implementation or the deployment of Bitcoin as a backing standard, and that's where I see the problem. Hence why I say I believe it can be useful after the fact and not during the fact, because
well, then it's being used as cash in that scenario, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because cash, the currency is a fight.
And then there is also Bitcoin's design, which presents a problem, because the reason why we have Bitcoin in the first place is because the cypherpunks who are campaigners and activists for personal privacy, the cypherpunks designed Bitcoin with the purpose of reclaiming the human right of personal autonomy and privacy.
Correct.
From who? From these centralized authorities that comprise our state. And the state is the career politicians that make up government, the central bank, the judicial arm, which is the courts, and then your military and police who enforce the hegemony of the state. So if Bitcoin is designed to circumvent and to trip up and to make irrelevant the permission and the central authority of this state, then I see a conceptual or a logical impediment to Bitcoin
ideologies
of the state and its finance adopting Bitcoin, the very rat poison that was designed for them to solve their problem. The problem they created, because if they eat the poison, this is the dilemma.
Well,
the balls of the horn is you eat the poison and you're going to become irrelevant.
Okay.
You don't eat the poison and you're going to face a global debt collapse.
That only happens in a scenario where if, say, a bunch of central banks effectively bought up $26 billion worth of Bitcoin right now and controlled it effectively. So how about we tell people maybe get out there and get some Bitcoin now and don't let that situation happen. There's many facets to that,
You see, the thing is that they do not control the money. And if they cannot control Bitcoin, they are at the behest of the people, which is where we want them.
They can't control it, but they can own a large amount of it.
They can own a large amount of it, yet not control it.
Correct. Yeah.
And they'll be at the behest of the people, which is where we want them.
Yeah.
That was the original deal.
I just want to see everybody get hold of one Bitcoin. I'm trying to tell as many people as possible, just get yourself a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then that problem is...
I do the same advice. Anybody I meet, they say, what is Bitcoin? Or they ask me, what do you do? I say, I work in Bitcoin. I promote Bitcoin. I evangelize Bitcoin. I use Bitcoin. Everything is Bitcoin. And they're like, well, what is it? And you give them the explanation and you go through the steps with them, and then they say, it's very interesting. I'm like, well, it's very interesting, but you better own some.
Yeah.
Totally. You don't have to own a whole Bitcoin. Like, get yourself a 0.1 or 0.05. Just get on the train.
Yeah, I mean, it's, people ask me, what is Bitcoin? I find myself giving a million different answers because it is so many different things. On one hand, you can say, well, it's the first time in human history that we've got an asset that is yours. It cannot be taken off. Yes, somebody would have to torture you to get your password. But as far as an authority, showing up, repossessing your car, your house, freezing your bank account, that cannot happen with Bitcoin. You would have to be physically tortured.
Yeah. As long as you control the private key. If you've got it on your own personal wallet, if it's held on Coinbase or in some custody service like, what is this? I forget the name. Some custody services spring up all over the place. There it can be confiscated.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, that use case alone is pretty damn amazing.
That's
right?
amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a first.
Yeah. It is a first.
That is a first, and that's a critical component.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a critical component of Bitcoin's success, and it's why it's often described as a genie that's out the bottle. That cannot be put back.
Yeah, exactly.
Because people value that so much, and this is possibly the answer. You describe Bitcoin to a lot of people, and they're like, so if this Bitcoin, it's not backed by anything, right? And you're like, no, it's not. And they say, well, where is it getting its value from? And the answer is that Bitcoin gets its value from its utility. People find useful Bitcoin, and they buy this useful Bitcoin at prevailing prices, and this is what drives the price up. And then some other people who bought it at lower prices say, well, these Bitcoins are so valuable now compared to when I bought them. I'm going to sell some. So there's always that speculative dynamic as well. And now we're moving into price, which is separate from the Bitcoin protocol, the network, and its utility its utility as a store of value or a payment method.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, there's so many aspects to it, which is why I'm all in from a, you got Didi who's all in, he's the famous guy for investing everything he has in it. I think that's a very wise financial decision, but he's also all in from that philosophical point of view of how this will change society. There's so many different things that we have in Bitcoin, and it's awesome to have a lot of great minds around over the last few weeks to talk about it, to debate it. That's really what we're all about.
It is great.
Yeah, it is.
It's great to be amongst people who've got the same fever as you.
Exactly.
Yeah, shared experience.
I'm an outcast everywhere else, mate.
Yeah.
To come here to find
you can just talk and everyone's on board. The concepts are understood.
Yeah.
The vision of the future is the same. There's a lot of camaraderie, isn't there? Solidarity. Yeah, we believe in the same thing.
There's so many messages to get out there, and it's awesome to have you here, and let's cruise around this island, chat away as we go for a dive.
Let's go.
Visit some beautiful beaches.
Love to dive.
And impart some knowledge along the way.
Let's do it.
Thank you, sir. Van Zet and I filmed this a few months back. Of course, we left and got those beers in and a dive also. We're going to be talking about the price of Bitcoin, where it is right now, what's likely to come. When we made this clip, it was actually below 4,000, believe it or not. Seems like a long time ago, but it wasn't. I'd also like to pay my respects to Tyler Jenks and his family and friends. He recently passed away, a very well-respected member of the trading community and, by all accounts, a fantastic guy.